Yo guys, welcome back to another Danmachi Memoria Freese video. Okay, so we are doing the January tier list update. Now, if you hadn't noticed by now, I'm always doing the banners a month behind. Like December's update was at the beginning of January and did not include the steamy scheme units. And the January update that we're doing now is not including the Valentine's units, but I am going to try and get ahead of it all, and you won't have to wait as long for the next tier list update because I'll probably try and do the Valentine's units tier list updates next week rather than at the end of end of February. So jumping straight in, remember, as always, I try to take out as much bias as possible using quantitative measures, which I won't disclose here because it's my own scaling. It's how I measure things, so I don't have to rely solely on my personal opinion. However, I have taken on board advice from other people, more learned people than myself, also including the movement of the new units. I will be making maybe one or two adjustments to the current state of the tier list as they are based on general use units and information that I didn't have prior that I do now on certain units. Anyway, let's jump in and we'll start with the Ais. Now, Ais has amazing stats. Sorry, let me just get my notes up here. She has good strength stat and a good agility stat, being over 1100. You can tell she's made for wargame. My issue here is if we jump over to her skills, her SA, I'm hoping you can see that just above me. But her SA, although it gives minus 50% earth resistance, which is fantastic, has no percent bonus, no percent damage modifier on it, which means it's not really going to hurt that much. Her skill 1 is great. It's got great utility. It covers, for physical earth teams, which are primarily most of the earth teams. Anyway, although in Wargame, if I remember correctly, there was an era when it was like earth mages, if I'm not mistaken. But the fact this has a fast modifier on it as well is great. Lowers crit and heal too, so it's going to be useful as a sack even if you don't have her MLB, even though we are talking specifically here maxed out and optimal scenario is how we judge these units. Her skill 1, it's a slow super, which is fine. Removes heal buffs and HP regen. Now, outside of Wargame, that's extremely niche and probably not very useful. Doesn't have any percentage modifiers on there, so it won't do as much damage as you would hope it to. And then moving on to skill 3, another super damage modifier with a 40% per each physical resist debuff on the enemy. That's gonna, with a high crit rate as well, so it's probably gonna hit a decent amount of damage. So it does give her the option of being a placeholder if you don't have a better earth unit to be used outside of Wargame. Taking all of that into consideration, let me just look at my notes real quick, make sure I haven't made any mistakes. She's got good utility, yep. Can be used outside of Wargame, somewhat niche, and her utility is sort of at the baseline where it covers so many things: crit, heal, physical resist, and earth resist. We are looking at a 30% debuff, so it's more standard than, above average. Saying all of that, put it all together, I'm comfortable putting her in B tier. Now, I spoke to a few people, they seem to agree with me there. I was going to say that her utility may be able to put her in A tier, but then looking back over the rest of her kit, I don't think the utility at 30% is enough to push her into A tier, given how niche the rest of her kit is. So now we're going to jump over and we're going to look at Haruhime. Okay, so we're looking at the Haruhime, and the first thing I'm going to say right now is I hate balance types. Their stats are always trash. So it doesn't matter what modifiers you put on their skills, they're never going to do the damage you want them to do. Her agility is great though. Over 1100, 1150, that's fantastic. Looking at the skills, however, so her SA, removes strength and magic debuffs, as well as strength and magic buffs. No percent modifiers, no additional buffs, debuffs, or anything like that. It's very niche. I don't see myself using it that often. Probably going to be the same for other people as well, given that she seems to be very orientated towards Wargame as well. And then we have skill 1. I will say this, skill 1, while giving a decent set of buffs, is very, very strange in my opinion. Like dex and earth attack damage is great, but combine that with magic resist plus 40%, it's a bit weird. It's specifically designed, I mean, the 40% buffs are great, don't get me wrong, like that instantly makes her a good sack unit if you don't have anyone that's going to buff your entire team for 40% earth and dex. But the addition of the magic resist there, that's kind of a, I don't know, man, very I'm probably gonna use this word a lot. It's very niche. Although the self 60% agility for 2 turns and the additional actions is okay. Still kind of out there up in the air for me. So we're gonna move on to skill 2 now. Fast mid-earth, physical attack, ultra encounter rate, removes physical resist buffs, excluding assist skills, damage received. Oh, and increases AoE damage by 30%. Okay, so I like this. I can see where they're going with it. You can definitely see that it's designed to go into Wargame and counter stall teams by removing the physical resist buffs and then debuffing how much resistance they have against AoE damage, which is why, according to the my information that I've got from other people, she's been receiving a lot of play in higher levels with Lied teams because, well, she removes those resist debuffs and then adds AoE damage increase, and Lied is just going to shred through the entire team. So let's look at skill 3. Skill 3, good modifiers. But because she's balanced, even with the ultra crit, she's not really going to do that much damage. So unfortunately, all of this is kind of wasted. Besides being used in Lied teams to help him shred through higher level PvP, I don't see her really gaining much usefulness outside of Wargame, given that we already have AoE sacks, the 30% AoE damage sacks, Wine being, in my opinion, one of the better ones currently in the game. But she does carry a lot of utility in herself. So I am still kind of comfortable putting her on the lower end of B tier here, maybe like above Gareth though. And yeah, I'm comfortable with that. Obviously, if you disagree, please drop in the comments. Tell me why you disagree. I'm always up for a conversation. Keep it polite. That's all I ask. Saying that, we're going to jump over. We're going to look at the fire tier list now because there are 2 more units to go over. Okay, so we're over here. We're looking at the fire tier list. Pay no attention to the duplicate artwork that I've got on the screen by accident here. I kind of goofed while I was putting the tier list together, but we're going to start with Aisha. Now, Aisha's stats, as you can see on the screen above me, great magic stat, great agility stat, but the main reason Aisha is what she is over here in her skills. Now, this SA right here, the 100% fire attack damage, is insane. I've had a few people give me a few ideas for team builds and rotations and things like that, and the possibilities with her are phenomenal. She fits into so many fire teams as a support and does decent damage. So this SA right here is definitely one that would make her worth summoning for if you were after a solid or more solid fire team. But let's look at the skill 1 here now. The super fire magic attack, ultra encounter rate, removes strength, magic, and dex debuffs. This essentially, if it wasn't on maintenance, would make her ideal and perfect for 7th zone. I know no one cares about 7th zone, and your fire team can probably already clear it. But if you are one of those few people that give a crap about 7th zone scores, removing debuffs is going to output your damage, like increase your damage outputs insanely. Then moving on to, I mean, it's got great utility in itself, just removing debuffs, but at the same time, it's got a super modifier on it. It is an AoE, so yeah, I can see it being used outside of Wargame. Skill 2. So a fast mid fire attack. Okay, let's just cut to the chase. It buffs strength, magic, and, well, strength and magic by 35% and fire damage by 40%. Now, it covers more, so it gives a smaller buff. I get that. There are allies out there that will buff your fire by 60%, strength and magic by more. But the fact that she covers all of that allows you to put a mixed damage type fire team together. So, for example, you could put Magic Alice, Fire Alice, and Lied in the same team just by having this Aisha as a sack. She opens up a lot of team combinations that maybe some people don't already have, but I mean, you probably do, given that the Fire Argonaut does exactly the same thing for 30, or does something similar and allows magic and physical units to be used in the same team, if I'm not mistaken. Skill 3, higher fire magic attack, ultra penetration rate here, but I'm a little bit bummed out that there is no % modifier on this, like at all, and it's only high damage. I get it. It seems like a bit of a wasted skill here. That's just my opinion. To be fair, her SA alone, as well as the utility from her skill 1 and skill 2, are enough for me to just safely say that I do believe she is A tier. That I don't think she's as good overall as some of the other units in A tier, but she is better than a lot of the units in B tier. This is my whole reason. And yes, her SA does carry a lot of that weight, so arguably she could cross the boundary into B tier, but I don't think she's quite there yet. Okay lads, finally we are on the Tiona, and let's be real, her stats are amazing. Her kit, let's get straight into her kit. Her SA, so much utility, and the fact that it has a 150% damage modifier means during Record Buster against Finn, she's gonna create a spectacle. I'm telling you, she does so much damage. Even my +2 Tiona did ridiculous amounts of damage against Finn. So if you have her MLB'd, whenever Finn comes around, she's your gal. She's the way to go. Even if they're resistant to fire, she's probably still going to do damage. But moving on to skill, I mean, I should say she will do decent damage with her SA even when not fighting Finn, because they all buff their strength and magic in a way. She just won't hit as hard as when she's fighting Finn. So there is that. Skill 1, self magic and fire attack damage by 65%. The fact that it's combined in one skill is something we're seeing a lot, or quite often, with Record Buster units lately. I do like it. It frees up a lot of utility for other skills, and the fact that she gains 3 additional actions while doing so is just a bonus. Skill 2, let's have a look. So a single target high fire magic attack, 120% per each strength and magic buff on self, removes strength and magic buffs after the skill's used. So if you weren't using her SA as it's intended to be used, or you weren't going to SA with her, this is probably the skill you would go to anyway. But it still, okay, put it this way, it still provides a lot of utility even without her SA having to be used. And then finally, her skill 3 super modifier applies magic resist and fire resist debuffs, which means she will fit into any Record Buster team, even if it's a physical orientated one. But to be fair, Record Buster teams usually are primarily magic type. In a way, like you have the Record Buster, you have, you've got Wealth and the Fire of Area so far. And the, what's her face? I can't remember her name. She's right here. But aside from her skill 1, you're probably going to be using this skill most of the time anyway, as it does just reapply those debuffs, and it has a super modifier, and it will hit hard regardless. That's my cat. To be fair, insane damage regardless of whether she's against Finn or anything else. I don't really see the need to explain myself otherwise. If you disagree with this decision, please explain to me why. I'm not completely sealed off from alternative opinions that may be counter to my own. So if you have legitimate reasons as to why she is not an S tier unit, you have to let me know why, guys. You gotta let me know why. Anyway, that is gonna be the whole tier list, guys. No, wait, there was an adjustment. There was a couple of adjustments I needed to make. I do believe, now, thing here, I do believe I was too thing with the Magic Alice. I think she is crossing the boundary into A tier with her damage. I don't think she's quite as good as the other units in the A tier, but I do think she is still A tier. So this may be a temporary adjustment. Let me know what you guys think. Oh my god, my cat is being a pain in the butt. Let me know what you guys think. If the adjustment should stay or not, drop in the comments, let me know. And then over on the Earth tier list, I do believe there was an adjustment. Yeah, I needed to bring this Weene up to B tier just because of how valuable she now is as a sack unit. Her SA is incredible, so she definitely deserves to be higher than C tier. I was a little quick to judge, considering the amount of usefulness that a lot of people have got out of her. Anyway, guys, that is going to be the whole video. Please make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're not. Let me get my outro ready. Social media links will be in the description. And as always, guys, I love you, and I'll catch you later.